My life becoming a monk is quite challenge and fun because when I was in working after I graduated and I worked for about 2 or 3 years, and then from there, I have seen so many changes in my life, in my family, and the friends around. Working in the engineering field, I tend to get a lot more attention from people, and that is the reason why people always call my name for help. And the way I live is always fulfill people's needs. And so sometimes it overwhelms me when this side calling me, that side calling me, and things like that. And I work really hard during that time. But then when I also have friends, even though that I don't go out a lot, but I also have friends. And sometimes we have close friends. But then when come to benefits, friends become something else. It's not truthful anymore. Friends will willing to step on us to climb higher. And so that questioned me, is this life, is this real, is this something that I want? And then certainly so many problems come to my family, my father, my mother, my brother and sister, and my niece and nephew, and the people around me. I see a lot of challenge, I see a lot of sufferings. And I question myself, is this the path that I really want to walk on, continue following my parents and my brother and sister? Or I want something else? I didn't have an answer at that time. When I didn't have an answer and I become stressful, I become anxiety because that time I don't talk a lot. And then certainly one day in the heat summer, under the hot sun, I took off from work. I drove myself to the Hương Đạo Vipassana Pavana Center and I saw my teacher. He walked under the heat at 12 noon around outside. And I just walked behind him, following him for a while, and then he stopped and then he turned back and asked me, what can I help you? Automatically I respond. I say, Master, can I ordain to become a temporary? And then he smiled and he say, yes, when? I say, give me 2 weeks to arrange my work. And then he asked me, are you going to shave your head or keep your hair? And I say, I want to shave it. And then 2 weeks later, after asking for permission from my parents, and I joined the monastery and he shaved my head, and then I became his student. He taught me and given me a book and then teach me how to recite Pali and things like that. And after for a while, I said I have to go back to work. And then when I went home and he called me, he said, how's your life at home? I say, I'm not happy. And he asked me, would I like to come back to the temple? I say, yes. But my parents wouldn't allow me. And so time after time, I asked my parents, they allowed me to go back to the temple, stay there for a while. And then after that, I decided to become a monk because this is what I really want. I don't want to go back to the normal life anymore. I don't want to walk on that path. I want to walk on this path. But what reminded me was back then when I was still in Vietnam, when I was still young as a kid, when my parents and brothers went to work. And then I saw one of the venerable monks, a bhikkhu, wearing a red robe. My teacher, he always wear red robe. Now he just changed it today. And so he walked for arms round in front of my house. And by that time, I didn't know anything about Buddha temple, nothing. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw one of the monks walk for arms round and he stood in front of my house and I was wondering, who is he? What is he doing? And then I just ran in and grabbed a scoop of rice and then I ran out and then he opened the bowl, the lid, for me to pour the raw rice into his bowl. And then I rushed to go in to put away that can. And then I rushed to come out again to see him, but then he already gone. I didn't see him anymore. But that was the highway. It's only one way, but I didn't see him anymore. And so that image reminds me when I met with him, with my teachers right now. And for the ordination, that image keep on popping up in my head a lot. That is one in the many things that happened to my life led me to. And in order for us to have all that, we have to practice mindfulness. And mindfulness is what benefited me a lot. That is the reason why I started the Waffle Piece in America.
Venerable Pannakara Thiru sir, before I salute to you, I salute to your teacher first, as has been the tradition of the Oriental people, and that too the tradition of Lord Buddha and others. So, saluting the great teacher, Venerable Sri Ratna Thiru sir, and you and your all the friends who have come in this delegation. My simple submission is not in the form of direct question, but it is a submission, and I would like to get your observation whether my submission is valid or not. But there is no any contradiction whatsoever you have submitted. The only thing is that we, the present generation, we have accepted that we are in the era of disruption. And His Holiness also directed this institute to organize an international conference on the topic disruption, values, human values in the age of disruption. Antithetical to disruption is certainly naturality or orderliness, natural orderliness. And all along the preceding millennium, the people who were wise or wiser or the wisest, they always strived for searching out the ways and means, philosophies and pedagogy of finding the peace. I am submitting through this paper, small paper. To me, this peace is an abbreviation of 5 letters. PEACE, practicing everlasting attainment of cosmic energy. And to attain that cosmic energy, we have to think along the nature to the extent of cosmos or flying. So the speed of the mind and the legs of the human being are so oriented and choiced by the intellectuals or the educated persons towards technology, the root of which is technique, but virtues are being ignored. Hence, as you have walked and your teacher and others have walked, and such people of like-minded people are also walking. Would you like to recommend that we should think about walking instead of flying in the space? Because flying in the space will not leave the space to walk. So, I just draw your attention, as you have very beautifully submitted. There is a very popular report, what you have just referred to tangentially. The report prepared by UNESCO has the exact title, Towards Reimagining Our Common Futures Together. And there is again a parallel term, Towards a New Social Contract. That's why, sir, you are the protagonist of recommending the philosophy of walking. And perhaps it is the most pertinent era when we have to at least discourage the galloping and space domination and indoctrination. Otherwise, human instinct.
A lot of violent situations rising, battles, wars, either it's between Ukraine and Russia or Iran versus USA and Israel. So, how do we see now the teachings of Buddha in this present scenario, the significance of the teachings of Buddha, the peace, not violence? Is it going to play any role in future also? So that is my point. I want to know your opinion on this, your stand on this.
I don't think we can stop all this violence. I don't think we can end the conflicts and the war. It's happened back then, way back there, and then the world be able to live at peace for a while, and then it started to go back to that old days of fighting because of powers, because of materialities and all those things. So I don't think this world ever going to be completely without violence. But because of that reason, that is why we took on that walk for peace, to raise the awareness to the people who willing to stay silent, who willing to pause for a moment and to stop. If they be able to pause and stop, look back within, they will find peace for themselves. Once they have peace for themselves, they will start it to spread it out for their family members and friends and their neighbors. What it means is, when that amount of people already have peace, already practice to have peace, and they live with peace, means this world will eliminate a group of people who initially they could bring more harmful things to the world. Now they stop doing all that because they found something is more important than all that, which is peace. And they are practicing peace, to get peace, to gain peace every day. And if we be able to pass out, to spread out just like that, that is why I share the message, say, every day in the morning, when we get up, if we let our mind wandering around, then it will automatically pick up all the trash to chew it over and over. What are the trashes? Trash means all those defilement minds, all those bad habit, old habit, all those unhappy things, undesirable things in life. It will pick up and think it over and over. Once the mind is picking up all those thoughts, and it will think over and over, that is when we are overwhelmed with unwholesome thoughts, and then we become depression, stress, and things like that. Instead of letting our mind be vacant, letting our mind picking up all those trash, we should do something. Give ourselves a chance to do something better, which is getting a pen and a paper out. Write down the statement, say, today is going to be my peaceful day. Just get a pen and a paper, write out, today is going to be my peaceful day. If you be able to focus while you're writing that, the mind is thinking today, the hand is writing, the mind is thinking today is going to be my peaceful day, while pairing with our hand to write out that message. And then after we write that down, we read it using our eyes, pairing with our mind to read that statement, today is going to be my peaceful day, silently in our head. And then after that, we read it out loud. Today is going to be my peaceful day. To tell the universe that today is my peaceful day. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but today. And I mean it. I mean it. Today is going to be my peaceful day. And I tell the whole universe that it's my day. So I would not mess it up. I would not let anybody to mess it up because it's very difficult for me to build it, to have that day. And so we have been spreading hate, anger, delusion, greedy to the universe everywhere. The next neighbor, the whole nation, and the whole world repeating the same message. Today is going to be my peaceful day. With just that energy alone, it will radiate it throughout this universe, so all beings will receive the benefits of it. That is the message that I want to share. That is the message that I want to promote. Instead of letting people go into war, instead of letting people keep thinking about fighting for peace, now we work for peace, just building peace within our practices every day. Thank you. All right. We are running out of time, so thank you so much for having us here today. Thank you, all venerable monks and nuns, and thank you all distinguished guests for having us here and have a really warm welcome. And may you all be well, be happy, and be peaceful. And hopefully we will see each other again in the near future. Sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, respected His Holiness, respected Mahasangha, venerable monks, venerable nuns, and distinguished guests. First of all, I would like to pay gratitude to the Institute University Board that extend the invitation to hosted us here today on our third day of visiting India. I still remember the walk for peace in United States when we concluded at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. That is the day we also received a very beautiful letter from His Holiness to acknowledge and encourage the walk for peace. And his niece, with one of the Rinpoches, also read that letter from His Holiness to the Walk for Peace team. With that connections, it's connected us all together, and now we are here in this university, in this auditorium. The first time that I heard that this is a brand new auditorium, and we happen to stand here in front of you all as an opening. And so, and then when we arrive here, we get to plant 2 Bodhi tree out there in this facility. And then when we planted the trees, we did the blessing. And then while we did that blessing, in my mind, and I thinking of these trees will be growing, especially Bodhi tree will grow very fast and will give shade to all the beings, and as human beings as well. So that tell me that we, as a human being in this generation, we have many future generations as well to come. And we soon will become the future generation as well after we pass away and reborn again. And in living in this world, in a very fast pace, everything moving very quick, very fast. We live in division, conflict, war, and disasters is increasing every day. And we barely have a peaceful day for our life. We work really hard to have a peaceful day, but just within one minor thing happened to our life, we ruined it, we messed it up. It's very difficult to build it up. yet it's very easy to ruin it. Just one react. Within one reaction upon those things comes to our life, we mess our life up. Once we messed it up, we build the bridges for all the bad karma in the past to come to us. That is when we are overwhelmed with karma, with sufferings. And then when we overwhelmed with sufferings, we become anxiety, depression, stress, things like that. Once we get all those, then our life will gradually going down and going down and going down. Because of defilement mind is only building the bridges for the bad karma to come. We are stopping all the good deeds, stopping doing all the good deeds, and we stopping all those good karma in the past to come to us. For that reason, that is why we suffer day after day, month after month, and then year after year. We suffer just like in that we are planting and we are raising. Do we raise our kids right now that tells the futures of this country and the world? If we raise our kids with mindfulness, with love and kindness and compassion, everything will be different. But we raise our kid with anger and hatred and greedy and delusion, all those things, and they will carry on like that and live their life just like that. And they pass it on to all the people in their future generation the same way. So it all depends on us to have a better life, to have a better world or not. It all depends on us right now. If we want to have a better life, we want to have a better world, a better place for the future generation to live, we must practice mindfulness, which is the Buddha teachings that have been decades already. And many human beings who practice mindfulness and end suffering to attain the blissfulness of Nibbana already, except us. And so my question is I always question myself and question everyone around me, when are we going to end this suffering? When are we going to stop the samsara? And so when I see many kids running around, living in the rural area, and even in urban area cities, our kids are not mindful at all. Because of everything in this world is so fast and they are chasing just like us. And we are providing them all those things that they need, which is technologies. Especially in Western world, when they have the ability to provide it to their kids, a lot of materials and technologies. Not sure about India nowadays, but I'm pretty sure those booming places, kids nowadays, they live a very good life with technologies, with materials, but then again, they are losing their memory every single day. Why do they live in losing their memories? And us, we also losing our memories. I hope that we can see this is because we could remember a lot of things by heart back then. But we can ask ourselves right now how much things that we can remember by heart. And how difficult it is for us to study and to learn by heart. And what's the reason behind all those? It's because we are dependent on the others, we are dependent on the social media, we are dependent on technologies way too much. And we are teaching our kids the same way. That is what makes this world become so divided. Because we are living with technologies, talking with people elsewhere, but not the person in front of us. not the family members. And so the world is moving like this, continue. I do see that the big major problem coming after. And so planting a tree just like raising the future generation. If we know how to raise them, the world will be better in the future. And that is one of our messages when we did the Walk for Peace. We also show people the real problem for the future generation as well. And so now I remember that back then when I lived in Vietnam, when we are children, we learn very quick. We see things and we remember it, and then when we grow up, we use all that. So exactly the same. If our kids see in us interact, talk, not mindfully, in not a good way, then that is what they're going to turn into. That is what they're going to become. So I hope that in order for us to have a better world in the future, we have to start from us. Practicing mindfulness, living with compassion and loving kindness to create peace for our life, for ourselves, and our future generations. When those future generations grow up happily and peacefully and mindfully, they will definitely provide a larger, broader shade to all beings. Means they will create more peaceful society to their country, to the world. But if we are not giving them all that opportunity, they will also create something for the world, but then that is tearful. We can see there are so many kids out there, we don't know who they are, what they will become in the future, but we're pretty sure some of them will become something bigger, more powerful in the future to bring happiness to the world. Among all those kids, there will be some kids who will become somebody who will bring tears to the world. So it depends on us to build the new world, the future world, to give them that opportunity and lead them to the right direction, as the Buddha said. I have walked through this path. This path will take you to happiness and suffering, and this path will lead you to suffering. Whichever path that you walk on is your choice. And so while planting that tree, I have that in my mind that reminds me again the talk in the United States about the future generations. So I hope that all of us in this room and online, we will start raising our kids, our future generation, with kindness, compassion, and show them mindfulness, show them the role model, because they are looking up to us. We will become their role model, and the role model have to be to live peacefully and happy.
You become a very good educator. You had a good education, and also you become an engineer, and you are working in Texas University. So my question is, how, what inspired you to become a monk, to renunciate all these things, and then what inspired you to start this walk for peace journey? Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a quiet, universal yearning tucked within the heart of every person navigating the complexities of our modern world. In the quiet moments before the alarm clock rings, or in the exhausted silence after a long day of striving, we all whisper the same silent prayer. We just want to experience genuine peace. Yet, in our American culture, a culture that celebrates the hustle, the grind, and the relentless pursuit of the next big thing, peace often feels like a luxury reserved for a distant vacation or a fleeting weekend afternoon. We are taught to fight for what we want, to disrupt, to conquer, and to achieve. But what if the profound secret to a fulfilling life is not found in fighting for peace, but simply in walking into it? This is not a metaphor of passivity, but a radical, transformative approach to how we move through our days. True peace is not a destination we finally arrive at after we have answered every email, paid every bill, and solved every crisis. It is a living, breathing practice. It is a commitment to cultivating stillness within ourselves, step by step, breath by breath, until that stillness begins to radiate outward, touching our families, our communities, and ultimately, the world. To understand this kind of peace, we might look to the simple, profound act of planting a tree. Imagine, for a moment, the feeling of kneeling on the earth, digging your hands into the soil, and placing a young Bodhi tree into the ground. As you pack the dirt around its fragile roots, you are participating in a quiet miracle of creation and legacy. The Bodhi tree, revered for its association with spiritual awakening, is a fast-growing provider of shade and sanctuary. But when you plant it, you are not just planting it for yourself. You are actively creating space for other beings. The branches that will one day stretch toward the sky will shelter birds you will never see and cast cooling shade on travelers who have not yet been born. This act of planting is a poignant reminder of our own place in the grand continuum of time. We are, right now, the stewards of this generation, but we are also the ancestors of the next. We are moving swiftly toward a time when we will pass the torch, leaving this earth to those who come after us. When we view our lives through this lens, our daily actions take on a beautiful, almost sacred weight. We must ask ourselves, what kind of shade are we providing right now? What kind of world are we leaving for the generations that will walk the paths we are currently paving? The tragedy of our current era is that we are paving these paths in a state of perpetual, frantic rushing. We live in a world that is spinning faster than our hearts were designed to endure. Everything is instant, everything is urgent, and everything demands our immediate attention. In this environment of hyperspeed, we find ourselves surrounded by division, conflict, and a steady drumbeat of daily disasters broadcasting directly into our pockets. Because of this, a truly peaceful day feels incredibly rare and heartbreakingly fragile. We might work tirelessly, meditating in the morning, setting our intentions, drinking our green tea, only to have our carefully constructed peace shattered by a single, minor inconvenience. Someone cuts us off on the freeway, an unexpected bill arrives, or a colleague makes a careless remark, and in a fraction of a second, we react. We lose our grounding. It takes so much effort to build a peaceful state of mind, yet it is devastatingly easy to ruin it with one unmindful reaction. When we react out of anger or frustration, we are not just having a bad moment. We are actively building a bridge that allows past sufferings and old, heavy karma to flood into our present. The mind becomes overwhelmed. This is the genesis of the anxiety, stress, and depression that have become the silent epidemics of our time. When our minds are saturated with suffering, our quality of life gradually, inevitably, spirals downward. We become so trapped in the famine of our own negative thoughts that we stop doing the good deeds that connect us to others. We block the flow of grace and joy into our lives. We suffer day after day, month after month, year after year, simply because we have forgotten how to guard the door to our own minds. We let the world dictate our internal weather, rather than generating our own climate of peace. A major contributor to this loss of internal sovereignty is the pervasive presence of technology. We are providing our children, and ourselves, with an endless stream of materials and digital distractions. In doing so, we are losing our ability to be present, and quite literally, losing our memories. There was a time when we knew phone numbers by heart, when we could navigate by the stars and the landmarks, when we memorized poems and stories to share around a table. Now, we struggle to learn by heart because we are entirely dependent on screens to remember our lives for us. We are fiercely dependent on social media for validation and connection, yet we have never been more isolated. This technological dependence breeds a profound division. We can have a real-time conversation with a stranger on the other side of the planet, but we cannot sit in a room and look directly into the eyes of our own family members without glancing at a glowing rectangle. We are teaching our children to live in this fragmented, distracted state, setting the stage for a future where true human connection becomes a lost art. Breaking free from this cycle requires immense courage, and often, a moment of profound disillusionment with the way things are. Consider the journey of someone who has achieved everything modern society tells us we should want: a degree, a respected career in a demanding field like engineering, stability, and recognition. Yet, the higher one climbs in a career, the more transactional relationships often become. Friends and colleagues may turn into competitors, willing to step on one another to reach the next rung of the ladder. The demands pull from every direction until the soul feels utterly depleted. It is in this crucible of exhaustion that the most vital questions arise. Is this life real? Is this truly what I want? When you look around at your family, your peers, and your community, and see nothing but stress, challenge, and suffering, a deep, restless anxiety takes root. You realize you are walking on a path that leads only to more striving and more exhaustion. Sometimes, the answer arrives not in a thunderclap of revelation, but in a quiet image of supreme contrast. Imagine stepping out of a high-pressure office into the blistering heat of a midday summer sun, feeling the heavy, suffocating weight of modern life. And then, across the street, you see a monk walking. He is wearing a simple robe, moving through the intense heat with a slow, deliberate, unshakable grace. He is not rushing. He is not reacting to the sun. He is simply walking, entirely present, entirely at peace. Following such a figure, matching your chaotic pace to their mindful rhythm, can be a life-altering experience. When that teacher turns and asks, "What can I help you with?" the soul often answers before the logical brain can catch up, asking for a way out of the noise and a way into the quiet, choosing to walk away from the transactional world. To shave one's head and don the robes of a monastic life is a dramatic shift, but it is fueled by a desperate, beautiful desire to walk a path that leads to liberation, rather than walking the path that loops back to suffering. While most of us will not shave our heads and enter a monastery, we are absolutely called to apply that same courageous mindfulness to our daily lives, particularly in how we raise the next generation. We are actively planting seeds in the minds of the children watching us. They absorb our energy long before they understand our words. If we navigate our homes with anger, hatred, greed, and delusion, shouting at the television, stressing over finances, treating others with impatience, they will inherit that emotional landscape. They will carry those heavy burdens into their own futures, passing the trauma down the line. But if we consciously choose to raise our children with mindfulness, with deliberate loving-kindness and deep compassion, everything changes. The future of the world depends entirely on how we act in the present. If we want a better world, a safer and more loving place for our descendants, we must become the calm role models they so desperately need to see. When children grow up in an environment of peace, they naturally broadcast that peace into society. They become the architects of a broader, more compassionate world. But if we fail them, if we deny them the opportunity to learn mindfulness by our example, they will still shape the world, but they will likely shape it with tears and turmoil. Every child holds the potential to bring either profound happiness or deep sorrow to the future. It is our absolute responsibility to guide them toward the path of happiness. As ancient wisdom reminds us, there is a path that leads to suffering, and a path that leads to joy. The path we choose to walk is entirely up to us, and our children are following our footsteps. In a world that is obsessed with disruption, with flying faster, building taller, and conquering space, there is a profound, almost rebellious wisdom in choosing to simply walk on the earth. We are living in an era defined by technological domination and global conflict, where nations point weapons at one another and human instinct seems constantly pulled toward violence. We cannot magically stop all the wars raging across the globe overnight. The cycle of peace and conflict has churned for millennia, driven by the relentless human thirst for power and materiality. But what we can do is stop the war within ourselves. We can recognize that flying into space will not teach us how to live peacefully on the ground. We must return to our roots, to the slow, intentional rhythm of putting one foot in front of the other. Walking is a practice of connecting with the cosmic energy of the present moment. When we walk mindfully, we step out of the frantic race for domination and step into our shared humanity. This is how we build a critical mass of peace. If enough individuals choose to pause, to stop the endless striving, and to look within. They will find an inner stillness. When you find peace for yourself, it naturally spills over to your family, your neighbors, and your friends. By choosing peace, you are effectively removing one more source of hostility from the universe. You are shrinking the dark footprint of human aggression and expanding the light of conscious living. To create this reality, we must take actionable steps the very moment we wake up. The morning mind is vulnerable if left to wander. It will automatically begin picking up trash. It will chew on the defilements of yesterday, the bad habits, the anxieties of the day ahead, and the undesirable elements of life. This mental trash accumulation is what leads directly to a heavy, depressed spirit. Instead of letting the mind wander into the landfill of worry, we must give ourselves the beautiful gift of intention. We must intercept the default programming with a powerful, conscious declaration. Imagine starting your day by taking out a simple pen and a piece of paper. You sit at your table, take a deep breath, and you write, "Today is going to be my peaceful day." As you do this, an incredible synchronization happens. Your hand is forming the letters, your eyes are reading the words, and your mind is completely focused on the meaning. You read it silently in your head, and then you read it out loud. Today is going to be my peaceful day. In doing so, you are issuing a gentle but unyielding boundary to the universe. You are claiming your time. You are declaring that today, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but right now, belongs to your peace. You are making a sacred promise to yourself that you will not mess it up, and you will not allow anyone else to mess it up either. For far too long, humanity has been unintentionally broadcasting anger, greed, and delusion out into the world. By consciously repeating, writing, and living the phrase "today is going to be my peaceful day," we radically shift our energetic contribution to the planet. We stop fighting for peace in the abstract, and we start working for peace in the immediate reality of our own lives. We build it in our living rooms, in our cars, in our offices, and in our hearts. This is the true journey of mindfulness. It is a warm, continuous invitation to return to ourselves, to cherish the breath, to love life more deeply, and to offer the world the greatest gift we could ever possibly give, our own unshakable peace. May we all have the courage to walk this path, leaving a legacy of shade and serenity for all the generations yet to come.